All right, hi, this is Henk. Welcome to another edition of the Skull Sessions. And today my guest is Don Greenfield, Ireland. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
Awesome. All right. We only went over that like three times before I did it. But all right, Don, so let's talk about what you have going on.
Well, I have been writing since 1979. And to be perfectly honest, when I started writing, I didn't know what I was doing, had never written anything, didn't know anything about writing. And it's just one of those things where, uh, if you allow yourself to daydream and you actually make an effort to write down those daydreams, then you can really start something. And that's how my very first book got written was I had a very long commute to work. And so I had a daydream going through my head about this girl that gets pulled into an alternate world. And every day, it was a little bit more until I got to the point where I carried a lined tablet and a pen on the passenger seat. So anytime I stopped, I would scribble down, and took me 4 years, but I finally finished that book. Well,
I
actually,
always
the
feel
first.
like people's initial idea is often the strongest. Like if you look at bands, like I think their first couple albums, if you look at authors, their first couple books, because like that's something they've had in their mind, they've been working on for years. And they've kind of
Mhm.
refined it, and that's really the story they want to tell. Because like, yeah, I might never get out there, but I want if I do get out there, I want everything to be in here because this is my shot.
Yeah,
You kind of feel like that?
yeah, I do. And I mean, it's just really odd, but I mean, okay, so I finished the first draft of that book in 1984, and I got to tell you, it was awful. It was really awful because
No, I hear you. I write my first novel was horrible.
my character cried through, I'd say 85% of the book. It was just really, it was so terrible. So I didn't publish it until 33 years later.
Okay.
Yeah, it went through all kinds of different titles and it went through all kinds of different rewrites and everything else. And I'm really happy where it is now because it's won several awards in both book and screenwriting competitions. So I think I'm on
Oh,
the
that's
right.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my first novel is like monsters and robots in space is horrible. But my first real novel, it like only I think achieved what it achieved when I rewrote it. So I definitely hear what you're saying because I put it out in 2011, or 2010 actually, and I never had something out before, and I was like, I didn't know all the ropes, and so I put it out. I was like, yeah, this is great. No, it's not. But you rewrite it, and now same thing. Like a lot of people really like it, but it's like you need that experience. It really helps bring it out.
Well, one thing I like about Amazon KDP is that you can upload a new file,
Oh yeah, definitely.
you know, and every time, and I read through my books periodically. And, it's like, I just cannot believe that, I've still catch things that are screw ups in there. And so, I'll mark them all up and then I'll fix the file and upload the file. So, you know, uh, people get a chance to see a unblemished book. But, one of the most important things that any writer, I don't care who you are, if you're a best-selling author or whatever, you really need to have an editor and a book editor in your genre. Like you write sci-fi, you can't have somebody who's a poet, look at your book and give you
Oh,
feedback.
that's true. That's very true. Yeah.
It's got to be somebody who understands what it is that you're writing. Otherwise, it could be disastrous and you could waste a lot of
I
time.
feel like they kind of know more of the flow you're going for too. They're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this will help bring that out because this is what I would do.
Yeah. And, a lot of times a second set of eyes or even, two or three sets of eyes. They can, you know, give you some information that you never thought of before,
Right.
and uh, it could really, make the story a heck of a lot better.
Or they pointed out things that like made sense to you, but like apparently other people don't get it the way you do. So yeah, no,
Yeah,
I totally agree with that. Like definitely beta readers. I've had the experience. I like it best when like editors will send to me and they'll send me the script with all the changes marked so you can approve or disapprove. But you see what they did. It really helps with
right.
the flow.
Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, I absolutely, you know, I like to get a Word file from people. And when they hire me to do any editing, then I will go through there. I mean, we're talking word by word. I don't skim through it. I read every single word and I give it a lot of thought and I will mark up anything that's wrong. And then I'll make suggestions. It's like, well, you said that your character was
Like
this.
little comments on the side.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, and it's important. The last draft that I did of Prophecy of Fall was I have to really, attribute all the changes to this editor that I met at this writers conference. She was one of those big time New York book editors, and I pitched her my Prophecy of Fall story, and she said, Dawn, you really ought to consider taking those the two main characters' ages down to teenagers. That way there you capture both markets, the young adult and the adult. And I thought, oh yeah, I can do that. Piece of cake. Well, it wasn't piece of cake. That meant that you had to rewrite the entire thing because teenagers do not have the same thoughts and processes
That's
as
true.
adults.
Yeah. There's
So
actually a side
yeah.
note real quick. I remember when I was a kid, like I read voraciously. Like we didn't have a TV or anything until I was in seventh grade, so I just read tons and tons of books from the library. But I remember I always stayed away from young adult books because I always felt like they were talking down to me. Like,
Mm.
by fourth grade, I was reading like full adult novels. So the last thing you want is to read something that, is treating you like you're an idiot. And I
Mhm.
remember I talked to Jeff Stren, and he's like, when I write young adult, I write it from the perspective of the young adult, not taming down the language.
Right, right. Yeah. And that's what you have to remember. I mean, uh there's just so many things that we think that we know that we don't know, especially when it comes to writing. And I mean, I had never written a young adult book. I mean, I've read plenty of them and I just never even thought about it, and it turned out so much better. And the awards that it's won tells me that, like, well, that was the best idea that I came up with.
Okay, so this is a series you have out now. What is it like? What do you have out?
Well, I just published my 20th book, so I've got five book series. Uh, so the Prophecy of Thal book, tell you what,
Here, I'll put it
this
on screen. Yeah.
this is it, but it has a brand new cover, and I don't have the book yet. So here's the new cover.
Okay.
So this is five books, and then I've got The Last Dog, which is a dystopian set in 2086. There's only two books in this series. And then this is my Bonded Billionaire Shapeshifter
Mhm.
book. And there's five in this series. I just put out the fifth book. And then I've got two cozy mystery series. This one is Hot Chocolate. It's set in River Oaks in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And there's four books in that series. And last but not least is the second cozy mystery series. And I'm working on book number four in this right now.
Okay. Do you
So,
have a preferred style or theme?
um, I think all of my books have a general theme of family. No matter if they're cozy mysteries or they're, blood and guts or whatever, it still boils down to, the group of people that's involved. They're kind of like a family. And so you can, it doesn't have to be, like uh, June Cleaver, uh,
Well, have you read the Neil Gaiman Graveyard book?
I haven't read that, no.
It's really good, but it's like it's supposed to take place, I think, in the 1800s, and somebody hires an assassin, like his dad's an important politician, and the assassin kills the dad, kills the mom, is looking for the kid. The kid's like a toddler, basically. So the kid wanders out the door, and the assassin kills him, is looking for the kid. The toddler wanders by a graveyard, and the ghosts in the graveyard, you know, pull him in to protect him, and then he's raised by the ghosts in the graveyard. So his new family are the ghosts in the graveyard, and one was like an old teacher and stuff. It's really a story.
Oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah,
What was the name of it again?
it's the Graveyard Book. It's by Neil Gaiman, who's
Okay.
actually one of my favorite writers.
Okay. That sounds really good.
It's really good. It's not that long of a book. Yeah, I think it's like 250 pages or something. But yeah, let me know what you think. 'Cause I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great book.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't watch that much TV. I spend most of my time reading when I'm not writing or doing something else. But I mean, I read between 2 and 6 books a week. I mean, I got
A
that from my
voracious
mother.
reader,
Yeah, I just love reading. It's like if you can't afford to travel, read a book.
right? And actually, the book is usually way better than any video iteration.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I'm always, almost always disappointed when they adapt something. I'm like, oh, it's such a great book. It's gonna be a great film. No, it's not.
Well, and as a screenwriter also, you have to take into consideration that if you have a book this size,
Right,
it's, 400 pages, you only get 120 pages for a screenplay. And
right,
that's 2 hours, but producers don't want that. They want like 90 or 95 pages. So that's like, you're going to chop the hell out of this thing.
right,
And so then you have to decide, okay, so how do we pick and choose, what goes in there? You try to capture as much of the action as possible, but it's really tough. It's very, very tough. I mean, I've been adapting Prophecy of Thal into, well, I decided to just go ahead and do a series,
yeah. I
like
was gonna
TV
say, it
series.
seems like series accomplished a lot more, like the Game of Thrones series, which
Yeah.
I thought was the best series until the last season, where it just fell off the cliff. But that's another
Well,
story.
when are we going to ever see any more of that?
I mean, there's a whole petition. There's like 150 people, 150,000 people signed it for there to be a reshoot of that last episode.
Mm.
Well, actually, that whole last season, but especially the last episode, but the whole last season, just like it felt to me like it was building up. Everything is building up, and then I know the writers. What I heard is they got the contract to the new Star Wars series, so they
Oh,
just wanted to get rid of it. Like,
get
we
rid of
want to
it.
be done with
Yeah.
this, and they screwed up so badly they lost a contract to the new Star Wars.
Well, it's just really, I don't know, it's just really hard. But I mean, the way I look at it with what I'm doing with Prophecy of Thal is, I've got 40 some odd chapters, and it takes sometimes a couple of chapters, 2 or 3 chapters to make an episode, and I'm going for a 60-minute, 1 hour episode. So there's, 5 books, and there's a hell of a lot of chapters. So, if it gets turned into a series on some streaming thing, I'd be really happy about that because I think going at it that way, then you get most of the story actually coming to the screen.
Right. I've seen some interpretations like like streaming services, like they do definitely do justice to the source material, and sometimes they just go way off the rails and make it horrible.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times the writer does not have any creative control
Yeah,
whatsoever.
no, that's definitely a good
And
point.
it depends on, who the director is. If the writer and the director have a really good relationship and, the director will, put his little ego aside,
Right,
and, then they can really create something great, but yeah, it's always a problem.
right.
There's
I
not
guess
very
you have to find
many.
the right combo, the right people to work with. Like I know that Frank Miller, after he did The Dark Knight Rises, he was kind of like the toast of the town. And Hollywood came calling and they wanted to write RoboCop 2. And he wrote it, and they're like, "Yeah, you don't know Hollywood." So they rewrote it, and then it
Yeah,
was horrible. And then everyone said it was horrible, so they got a third writer to come in, and they asked Frank to rewrite it. He said no. So they got a third writer. And then if you look at the movie, which is pretty bad, it's all three writers are listed. And then I know that he was like, screw Hollywood, I'm done with Hollywood. And he only came back when Rodriguez did Sin City and said, I will make you co-director.
yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's really it's sad the way things work, but what are you going to do? They buy your stuff, they pay you, and you got to be happy with the check being deposited.
Right.
That's all there is to it.
And hopefully it clears.
Yes, let's just hope it clears.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully they give you creative. I think they're learning a little bit more because back in the day, they every time they do an adaptation, it was like very hit or miss. I
Yeah,
think they're getting a little bit better with that because they kind of find out when they actually trust the writers of the source material they like, it actually produces something that's more palatable to the general masses.
that's right. Yeah. Think about your audience.
Yeah,
What does your
exactly.
audience want, and it's really a shame that so many of these productions just go off, and do their own thing without even thinking about, well, this doesn't even look like the source material.
Yeah, and they ruined something great. Like I really liked the graphic novel Preacher, and they made it into a Netflix series. I mean, it even has some great actors, but it was horrible. It's like, people that was their first exposure, it just ruined it. It's sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping that, if my stuff gets to the screen, it won't be so screwed up that I'll, want to go, jump in a hole somewhere,
Right.
change my looks so they don't see,
Or
so they
kill
don't
somebody. But
recognize.
all right, so let's talk about what you're focusing on now and what you're doing now and how people can see it.
Well, everything is on my website, and it's degreenfield.com, or of course on Amazon. And right now I'm going through a transition with my last name. Uh, my former husband passed away just a few years ago, so I decided, well, I am dropping the name Ireland and I'm going back to my maiden name Greenfield.
Okay.
And I mean, also, Dawn Ireland, I discovered that there were like maybe 10 authors
Okay.
with the various name, of Dawn Ireland. So that was ridiculous. So then I started using Greenfield as my as my middle name, Dawn Greenfield Ireland. So you're going to see books out there with Dawn Ireland, D.E. Greenfield, D.E. Ireland. I mean, it's all me. Go to my website and you'll see it. And that way there you can find me on Amazon.
I was lucky. I have kind of a unique name. Like my parents came to Ellis Island and they use a first name as the last name because the last name is too complicated. So like
Ah,
there are very few Dan Hinks. Hink is not a last name for a lot of people. It's mostly a first name.
oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Like
Hmm.
I think my grandfather was from Germany and he came here before the war. And Hink is like that's my last name, Hink, but Hink is a very common first name in Germany. And they probably had some like crazy German last name, and all the time I was like, yeah, this is gonna be your name.
Yeah, I mean, because when my grandparents came from overseas, well, my father's family came from what we thought was Romania. And then my older cousin said, "Are you crazy? They're not from Romania. They were from Moldova." And I'm there, okay, but we don't have any proof of that, you know? So we think that the name Greenfield was given to them when they landed at Ellis Island. We don't know what the original name
Right.
was. You know, this is more or less the Angelica-sized name. Uh, but on my mom's side, that was Lyons from Ireland, and then Daigle from France. So those two are, pretty easy names to figure out. I mean, there's Daigles and Lyons all over the darn United States.
I don't know why, but it reminds me of a joke I have. You want to hear the joke?
Sure,
So, if spring showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring?
settlers.
Pilgrims.
Oh,
So,
pilgrims.
all right. So, how can people see your work? It's like on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, and you have a website? Like, what would they
Yeah,
go to?
yeah, I have a really big website. It's got all my books. It's got I have the 20 novels and I have the seven nonfiction books, and then I have a bunch of notebooks, blank notebooks that I have created. And then I also have my screenplays, and all my awards are on my website. So it's very easy. The initial D, the initial E, greenfield.com. And all the books, if you click on one of the books, it basically takes you to Amazon. I'm all over Amazon, and
Okay.
also on what is it called? Drafts to Digital.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on
Yeah,
that too.
they
Yeah.
yeah, they get it all over. It's at Barnes
So
and
all
Noble.
the places they
Noble.
don't
Yeah,
get with, yeah.
I made 32 cents last week.
Yeah, the rate is ridiculous. Like they sell it for $16 and they give you like $1.50. Like, how
Yeah,
did you come up with that?
I know. I know. It's really ridiculous. No, I am not kidding. When I
Yeah.
said I got an email from them, and it told me that I had 32 cents. And I thought to myself, okay, so how much did you pay the person that had to create that email? You guys are just really crazy.
Oh, they probably outsourced it to somewhere where they can pay them like, 10 cents an hour or something.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
But all right, so is there something else that people should check out to see what you're up to?
Really just I'm on Facebook. Trying to think, let's see. My Facebook is dawn.ireland.18. And I mean, I'm on,
What's the significance of 18?
yeah, dawn.ireland.18. That's my Facebook. And then I'm on X, Twitter, Dawn
Right.
Ireland, all one word, Dawn Ireland. I'm on Instagram as Dawn Greenfield Ireland, Goodreads, Dawn Ireland, LinkedIn, DE Greenfield. See, I'm all over the place.
Are you
And
on TikTok?
I have a TikTok account. It's but I never go there. I don't think I've been there in 2 years. I just don't see any value in TikTok.
Okay, and what's your website?
D.E. Greenfield.com.
Okay, can people go there and get like signed copies of books or anything?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I know people hate to do this, but if you had to pick something that's kind of similar to what you have out, what would you say it was? So like people have an idea.
Okay, so the Thal series, the Prophecy of Thal series, uh this man that was the editor or the reader who gave me the award of the what in the world is it? The reader's favorite. He wrote such a fabulous review, and he said that the Thal series is very much like the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I've
Yeah,
actually read all those.
I love those books. Yeah, so that was probably the best review I have ever received in my life, to be, to have somebody say that your work is just like this, it's
Yeah.
just as good. And he said that the world building for my book is just phenomenal. And you always want to hear something about that because I mean, for all my books, I mean, I build the world that the story takes place
I
in.
feel like that's necessary. Like too many people don't do that, but that's also probably why they don't go anywhere. You know,
Yeah.
like if you like I know C.S. Lewis who wrote Chronicles of Narnia, who's like a big time Christian, and the line is basically supposed to be Jesus. Um, I'm not Christian, but I still enjoyed the book. It's just a very well told story, and that's what you need.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. And yeah, I thought those books were just really just fabulous. It's really great storytelling and you know, so many times I find writers do not really expand their writing to tell the reader
Yeah, they don't focus on
where they
backstory.
are,
Yeah.
where are we? What is about this place that we should understand? It's just really sad. And I am a big believer in when you read a book, you leave a review.
Right.
And if it was a rotten book, you make sure that you tell them why.
Right. Not
Because
just like I like what really
yeah,
bugs me is people do a lot of times the thing of like, oh yeah, well the packaging was damaged. It's like that's not the writer's fault. You know. So, but yeah, no, valid critiques are valid critiques, and and even when people have like very negative reviews, if they extrapolate on why they did not like it, it actually could be a positive review. Like either they
yeah.
have something negative or they have something to say that will make you rethink it, or they'll
Mhm.
dislike something like, oh, great, I enjoy that it made that reaction, that it excited you so much that you had to respond.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just really sad that people get really mad at some of the reviews that they get, but it's like, look, read the reviews and figure out that all these people are saying the same thing.
Right.
First of all, you needed to hire an editor, or at the very, very least, a proofreader, and not your mother. You know, it has to be somebody that knows exactly what they're doing to help you. you
Right.
know. But, in today's world, you can write something and it could be pile of junk and you upload it. And a lot of people don't care. They just want to get their junk out there, and it's bad for us, us readers.
It's bad first because it makes people less likely to take chances because there's so many bad authors.
Yeah. Yeah. This is why, you people out here that are listening, you read my books or anybody else's books, you leave a review where you downloaded that book from, it's really important.
Definitely. I don't think readers realize how important reviews are. But All right, so thank you very much for doing this interview. Do you have anything else you want to throw out? Anything else that people should check out?
Oh, I just really appreciate you having me on your show, and hopefully I will talk to you again soon. And everybody out there, read my stuff.
Definitely. Well, and whenever you have something new out, just let me know. We'll put you on the show again. I just
Okay.
had my one of my early guests was Paul, and I just had him on the show again for the second time. I was like, "You're the first person that's been here for the second time," but he's like, "I have a new book out." I was like, "Come on my show, advertise it."
Oh, that's excellent. Excellent. That's good.